Welcome to Loving Life, a guide to a positive mindset. I'm your host, Lisa. I'm a mindset and energy coach, and each week you'll discover mindset shifts, energy practices, and real life tools to help you feel more confident, calm, and in flow, because you deserve to love the life you're creating. I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's get going on today's episode. Hi, and welcome back to Loving Life. Now, as you know, certainly from last week's episode, life for me lately has been busy. Not necessarily bad busy. In fact, most of it has been really lovely. We've had the wedding, we've had university open days, there's been so much to organise, and I've also been helping family with one thing or another. So there's definitely been moments where I've had to consciously manage my emotions. Now, a few years ago, a busy season like this would almost certainly have left me feeling completely overwhelmed. And whilst I could feel that similar feeling beginning to creep in every now and again, this time it was different. It made me reflect on something I've shared before, is that I know I'm someone who can become overwhelmed when life gets busy. So if you are also someone who gets overwhelmed when there's lots going on, this episode is for you. Before we go into that though, let's have a look, because I haven't done this for a couple of weeks. Let's have a look and see where last week's episode was downloaded or listened to most. And the top city last week was Minneapolis, followed by Pittsburgh, followed by Sydney. So thank you so much to you guys, and also obviously to anybody listening from wherever you are. Now, last month in June, I ran a fun little competition in my newsletter. I asked, what do you think my favourite meal is? I was asking what your favourite meal is. And if you could guess mine is a split between two. And if I put a competition out, if anybody could guess the two meals that are my comfort meals, then I was going to give away a free gift. And the winner guessed correctly that my two favourite meals are a toss-up between a curry and a roast dinner, vegan, obviously. So thank you, Josie. Your free gift is on its way to you. If you, are interested in taking part in fun little competitions each month, I'm going to start doing them because I really enjoyed that. Make sure you sign up to my newsletter, and you'll also be the first to find out if there are any sessions going on or, any offers, and just be up to date with what's going on with the podcast. So, the wedding. I feel like I need to just give a little update on the wedding before we go any further. It was such a beautiful day. So the wedding was Craig's little brother. I say little brother, he's nearly 30, but he's 13 years younger than Craig. So he is our little brother, basically. So he got married to the beautiful Ellie, who looked absolutely stunning. But as I said last week, it was the hottest day the UK has ever known. Obviously, I did the wedding cake and it survived just about with actually minimal stress. It was pretty stress-free apart from the making of the ganache. I did have a little bit of a meltdown the night before, but once I'd got it there, I was like, do you know what? I've done my bit now. Whatever happens, happens. It did start to melt a little bit on one side, but I'm going to let that go. We actually weren't expecting Alfie to be going because he was meant to be on his D.A.V. expedition. Now, if you're not from the UK, you probably have no idea what a D.A.V. expedition is. It's basically an extracurricular expedition or hike that is quite a prestigious award over here for 17 to 18 year olds, and it sort of gives them points when they're applying for university, and once you've completed it you also get to attend a ceremony at one of the royal palaces. So that's pretty cool. So he was meant to be doing his expedition on that day, would you believe it? But because of the heat wave they decided to put it back a day, so Alfie, all four of us, were able to attend the wedding. However, I'm not entirely sure that attending a wedding as a 17-year-old the day before a difficult expedition. Or if that's a good idea, just in case anyone's considering it in the future. Obviously, at a wedding, you have red wine on the tables. People are going to the bar. Let's just say Alfie was very happy to be there and enjoyed the odd glass of wine here and there. And obviously I kept reminding him that he had to get up very early in the morning. I had to get him to school at 7:30 in the morning. So I kept reminding him, and he said, "It's okay, Mum, I've never had a hangover." Well, he's never done a DFE expedition the day after drinking. So yeah, that was interesting, but he did it. He survived. But you know, the really nice thing was we were actually supposed to be staying at the venue, but because I had to get Alfie to school so early in the morning, me and the boys came home, leaving Craig there at the venue with his family. And because it was so hot, we decided to get in the pool when we got home. So we were in the pool at gone midnight. There was a thunderstorm in the distance. We could see lightning in the distance, probably over where the wedding venue was. And we were just sat in the pool watching the lightning in the distance. It was actually such a beautiful night. One that I don't think I'll ever forget, actually. So yeah, that was the wedding. It was lovely. It was hot, but it was lovely. So lovely, and so worth all the running around and the preparation with everything else that we had going on around it as well. So, like I said, I am someone who can become overwhelmed when life gets busy. That's no secret to me. I've always known that. But what I realise now on reflection was that this time, it's not that I didn't feel those feelings. It's that I already knew what I needed. So what I mean by that is I still felt the overwhelm creeping in. But I knew exactly what I needed in that moment to stop it becoming a problem. So when you're in a busy season of your life, you might still have moments where you feel a bit snappy, where you feel emotionally drained, where you feel like everybody wants something from you, where you feel restless, even when you finally sit down, if you let yourself sit down, and like you're rushing from one thing to the next without really taking a breath or really taking it in. You might also find yourself wanting everyone to stop asking you questions for just 1 minute. These could be little warnings that your overwhelm is creeping in. So this is my invitation to you to reflect on what you need in these times. Here's what I did. So every morning, I obviously knew I was having a busy season. So every morning, I made sure that my priority was my morning journal. Because I know it helps me organise my mental load before the day kicks in. Obviously, this is not any old journal. This is my gratitude and morning journal. So I know that I'm doing things that raise my vibration and positivity in the morning, but also help me manage my expectations for the day. This is what I have designed this journal exactly to do. So I made sure I did that every morning. And I also made sure I got in the pool every day, because I have learned that's one of the quickest ways for me to calm my nervous system. In fact, one day I left my swim much later than usual. And I remember getting in the water and thinking, oh my God, I should have done this earlier. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to rush out and get a pool, or that swimming magically solves everything. But what I am pointing out is that I have learned to recognise the things that help me come back to myself. And that is what I do recommend. So whatever that looks like to you, you need to explore what that looks like to you. Or you might already know that, but it's hard to remember in those moments to make time to do that. And it's funny, actually, I remember having a conversation with Craig last week about, there was something that I can't remember what it was now, but he was doing something. He was getting stressed out about something. And I was like, just take a breath. Just take a minute to just connect with your breath. And he's like, there's no time. Of course, there's always time to, that is the most sensible thing to do, is to take a minute to come back to your breath or come back to whatever it is that you need in that moment. But you just don't feel like you've got time, which is the problem. Like, we put off the things that we don't see as a priority that time. Unfortunately, us regulating our nervous system, we don't see as a priority when we are super busy. But busy doesn't always feel stressful. One thing that I've realised is that it doesn't always feel stressful, because if you're anything like me, you're always busy. But that doesn't mean that I'm always stressed. Sometimes busy feels exciting. Sometimes it's full of lovely things. But our nervous system doesn't necessarily separate good busy from hard busy. And some of you might be experiencing hard busy. Obviously, I don't know what you've got going on in your life at the moment. But it does notice when we are constantly moving from one thing to the next. So it's not necessarily the number of things that you have to do that tip you towards overwhelm, or certainly for me anyway. It's how long I spend without coming up for air. Because when you are moving from one thing to the next, from organising, planning, replying to the email, replying to the text message, helping people, remembering the things that you've got to do, it's so easy to stay in doing mode. And after a while, you stop asking yourself one really important question: how am I actually doing? And I think the thing about busyness, it's not just about the things that we are physically doing. It's everything that's happening in our minds too. It's remembering birthdays, replying to messages, making decisions, thinking 3 steps ahead, organising the diary, helping other people solve their problems, and wondering what needs doing tomorrow before today's even finished or even started sometimes. Sometimes it's consuming so much information that you don't leave any space to hear your own thoughts. So it's not just a busy calendar, it's also a busy mind. And I think that's why being busy can so quickly lead to overwhelm. It's not because we've necessarily taken on too much, but because we've stopped creating space for our minds to get a chance to catch up. Now, you can always reduce the number of things on your plate. Your job, your children, you might have elderly parents or grandparents that you look after. You might have personal situations going on in your life, relationship problems, financial problems. You can't reduce the number of things on your plate. Not always anyway, sometimes you can. But the practical answer isn't always to do less. The practical answer is to spot the subtle signs that busyness is catching up with you. So maybe you notice that you are more reactive, that you feel slightly disconnected, that you're scrolling more, that you're not enjoying the little things as much as you normally would. Maybe you find yourself procrastinating. Maybe you are moving from one task to another without really being present. Or maybe you don't quite know what you need anymore because you've been responding to everyone else. Not because anything is wrong. None of this is because anything is wrong as such. It's just because life has become busy and it snuck up on you all of a sudden. Now, sometimes I think we are fooled into thinking or believing that we need a whole weekend away or a massage or a spa day or a digital detox to reconnect with ourselves. But actually, sometimes it starts with 2 quiet minutes, a little reset, I like to call it. So sitting in the garden with a coffee, noticing the birds, walking the dog without a podcast, like just being in your own quietness, taking 3 breaths before your laptop, like 3 deep breaths before opening your laptop. And most importantly, asking yourself, what do I need today? Maybe it's your favourite meal. Maybe it's a cup of tea in your favourite mug. Maybe it's reading a chapter of your book. Maybe it's sitting in the garden, watching the sun go down. Maybe it's music whilst you cook dinner. The goal isn't to escape the busyness. It's to create little moments within it that remind you you're a human being, not just someone who has to get things done. And I think one of the quiet signs of personal growth isn't that life stops being busy. It's that you begin recognizing what keeps you steady when it is. So that is my question for you today. What are the things that help you feel like you again? Not the things that you think you should do, but the things that genuinely make you breathe a little deeper. Soften your shoulders and think, there I am. You could even spend 5 minutes creating, we'll call it an anchor list, like things that anchor you in the moment. So a list of 5 things that you know help you feel calmer, more present and more yourself. Not because you only do that when life feels hard, but because they are the very things that stop you getting to that point. So the point where you tip into like complete meltdown. Like what things can you have on your list that stop you getting to that point, that just anchor you in the moment? So for example, my list would be my morning journal, a swim, sitting outside with a cup of tea, listening to the birds. Everyone's list is going to be different, but I do think it's a good idea to have a list of 5 anchors before the next busy season arrives, because then you can go back to that list when you notice those subtle signs that I mentioned earlier. So just remember, life will always have busy seasons. There's nothing we can do about that. The difference is whether you have habits that stop those seasons becoming overwhelm. So I'd love to know what's on your anchor list. I'm going to pop over to the Facebook group later and pop mine in there, and I'd love you to tell me yours as well. And if you would like to buy a copy of my journal, then head to my website under the resources page. I'll pop the link to that in the show notes. But head to the resources page. You can get one for $11.11. And if you're in the UK, then I will even ship it for free for you. So head over to my website now. Honestly, it is exactly what I need. It helps keep me in check before the day's even begun. Okay, thank you so much for listening today. As always, if you have resonated, then let me know or share whatever you feel called to do. I would really appreciate something. And if you are interested in working one-to-one with me or even in my membership, then head over to my website and book a call. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, have an amazing week, whatever you're doing, and I will speak to you next week. Sending you so much love. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and if you're listening on Apple, as 95% of you do, review. It really helps the podcast reach more people who are ready to shift their mindset and raise their vibration. And if you know someone who would benefit from today's episode, feel free to share it with them. Until next time, keep loving life and know that I'm sending you so much love.